Welcome to the Please Suck Less podcast, a podcast where I voice my opinions and views about things that piss me off and how we can make the world suck just a little bit less. Thanks for listening. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Please Suck Less podcast. I want to talk about a couple of things that have been on my mind for the last few months, just now getting around to actually going to talk about it. The first thing I want to talk about is bullying in the fire service. And it's not the same kind of bullying that you see like in the schoolyard or anything like that. More so, it's coming from some upper management. When I say upper management, anything, it could be your captain or your lieutenant, but moreover, you're seeing it with battalion chiefs, assistant chiefs, things like that. First and foremost, what I found out about bullies is that the reason why they are the way they are is because they probably suck at their job. They don't feel comfortable what they do. So in order to try to make themselves feel comfortable, they try to bring other people down. So what my advice is to a lot of the newer people out there, newer officers, especially if you have like a battalion chief that's just kind of an asshole and are constantly, trying to, throw their muscle around or bully you when they talk about different topics, is you stand up to them, be respectful, even if they are not being respectful to you. Be respectful. Don't give them any ammunition so they can continue to move down the path of discipline or whatever. You tell that battalion chief, or even if you're a firefighter, it's a captain. You pull them in the office and say like, something's off with us. You seem kind of hostile to me. Have I done something to make you feel that you need to be a little more aggressive to me? If once you corner them, you're going to find their answer will be like, oh, no, nothing like that. I didn't think that was happening or whatever. When you corner them or you point it out to them, that may fix the problem. If the problem persists, then you pull them aside again and say, look, we've already talked about this. Let me make one thing perfectly clear to you. I will not tolerate you talking to me in that manner if you don't have a specific issue. You don't disrespect me in front of people. I would never disrespect you in front of somebody. When you call somebody out, an officer out on their assholeness, their BS, their bullying or whatever, usually that puts an end to it. If it continues, then you take it to the next level. You take it to their boss. Say, hey, we've had this conversation a couple of times. This is what I'm getting coming from them. Leave your feelings out of it. Leave your emotions out of it and stick to straight facts. Anytime you make contact with another employee, whether it be a subordinate, a peer, or your boss, document it. Write it down. The conversation that you had. So if it persists, when you take it to the next level, you have that ammunition. But at the end of the day, the reason why they're bullying you is because they probably are very insecure in their position. The best way that you can make them not feel insecure is to give them information, feed them information. It's almost to the point where they may try to micromanage you. You overshare with them information, especially on the fire ground or in the station and things that you're doing or whatever. Inundate them with information. You may see that go away. But you just have people out there that are just flat up assholes. And you need to have a face-to-face conversation with them in private. And it needs to be, what your parameters are, what you will and won't tolerate. And that if there is an issue, let's get it taken care of now. So moving forward, we're not going to have this problem. I remember early in my career as a firefighter, I had a captain that was constantly coming down on me for wearing, it was boots or some type of footwear that we had. It was, I believe we had, our policy stated the type of footwear that we could wear in the fire department, but if we purchased our own, it had to meet certain parameters. And one of the things was the zipped up type boots. I know I'm getting kind of in the weeds, but we weren't allowed to have those type of zipped up type boots. But everybody on the shift had them. Granted, they were comfortable. We were a pretty busy station. I like to be able to unzip my boots real quick, get out of them, get into my bunker pants down the road. Um, but this captain was like singling me out, constantly singling me out. And finally, I had it in front of other people, in front of the shift. So finally, I had enough of it. I asked to talk to him in the office, and I asked him, I said, "What is your problem with me?" Now, granted, I was younger. I didn't handle it. I don't have the vast array of communication skills, that I feel that I have now, that I did back then. And I told him, I said, "Look, you're constantly coming down on me about my friggin' boots, but everybody else is wearing the same thing, but I don't see you saying anything to them. If you've got a problem with me, let's get it taken care of right now, because we need to spend 24 hours together. You are my boss, and I'm not going to tolerate you singling me out for clearly what everybody else is doing as well. If you don't want us wearing the zippered up boots, then we change it all the way around." It was that little bit of confronting him, telling him what I would or would not tolerate. And from then on out, we never had a problem after that. He's one of my very good friends to this day. I honestly don't think that he recognized he was doing that. What he was brand new to our battalion, to our station, and the way we did things. And I think he was a little insecure in that aspect. And as we move forward, things settled out. But I confronted him. I got to the point where I'm not going to tolerate you belittling me in front of, my peers. And it got to the point where other people were recognizing it as well. So you have somebody who is a bully. Confront them. We had a deputy chief that would come and would always want to kind of clown with the guys on the shift and poke fun and make little comments and this and that. But the moment you gave it right back to them, they could dish it out, but they couldn't take it. And we all know people like that. He immediately got very like, you can't talk to me that way. I'm the deputy chief, and watch your tone and this and that. It got to the point where, eventually the guy stepped up and said, "Look, if you're going to come to our station and you want to have this, one-on-one banter or banter with the shift and have a good time, that's fine. But if you can't take what you're dishing out, don't bother coming to the station and trying to be buddy buddy, to the point where if we dish it back to you, you can't take it." And the guy got the message. So you have those people out there. So, you know, 8 minutes into this little issue here with bullying, first and foremost, you do not have to tolerate that. First and foremost, find out, is there a problem? Did something happen that created this atmosphere that you are hostile towards me? If not, then you let them know under no clear circumstances, you will not talk to me that way. You will not disrespect me in front of my peers. I would never do that to you. And make sure that we are on equal footing and they understand where you came from. And above all, document the conversation, because if it continues to happen, then you have dates, times, conversations, if it needs to be moved up to the next level. With that being said, moving on to the next topic, just having a discussion with some of my volunteer colleagues, as well as some of the career guys in my department. I'm hearing a lot more these EMS units calling for manpower or manpower assist to help lift a patient or move a patient from A to B, or whatever. It's on the rise. And when I say on the rise, like noticeably on the rise. And to the point where I started questioning some of the shift officers, like, what's going on? Why are we all of a sudden getting these calls? And they didn't have an answer. I talked to some of the volunteers that had gone on some of these manpower assist or medic assist calls, and literally it was, we need help getting this patient from the bed to a stair chair, or from the bed to the stretcher. And clearly the patient was not heavy. It was more of why are we here? You should be able to handle this yourself. I remember when I was young, I weighed $150 when I got hired in the system, and we never called for the engine company. We'd manhandle somebody, get them onto the stretcher or the stair chair or whatever, get them to the cot, take them to the hospital. Granted, if you have a heavy patient or they're in a precarious position, we don't want anybody to get hurt. Call for that manpower. Will come and will help them. But to the point that you're having a problem lifting up a little old lady at a nursing home or at somebody's house because you didn't eat your fucking Wheaties in the morning, then my advice to you is, if your shift is that weak, or your medics or your EMS folks that are on the ambulance, or your firefighters that are on the ambulance, that particular shift are so weak, they need to get into some type of regimen to get themselves back into shape. Almost every fire department I've ever been into has a gym where they have free weights and elliptical machines and stair machines and treadmills and things like that. You need to start taking better care of yourself. There is zero reason for an entire engine company to come all the way across the first two area to help you get somebody off a bed and onto a cot, and they literally weigh 90 pounds because you're too weak to do your job. We run 3 or 4 on a fire engine, and we're not asking for 5 more engine companies to help us get an 1.75-inch line into a single family dwelling to put a room and contents fire out. That's a 1 and 2 person operation. When I say one person, as in one person pulling the line, that officer there to back you up. So my advice to the people that are riding the ambulance, and yes, I rode an ambulance majority of my career. I'm still running EMS calls as a chief officer. Eat your fucking Wheaties in the morning. Get in the gym. Make yourself self-sufficient so you can do your job. You've got 2 choices. You either get yourself in better shape that you can do your job, or go find another job, because we're putting undue wear and tear on the fire apparatus. You're making this fire apparatus respond across our district, lights and sirens, which runs the risk of getting into a vehicle collision, which ends up ultimately trickle down, raising insurance rates and all that. Figure it out. Figure out what the problem is and get it taken care of. If it's a continual issue, my advice to the station officers, start documenting. If these people are continually not able to perform their job, then they need to go find another job. And I know it's easier said than done, but that's just the way it is. Now, reiterating, if it's a heavy patient, if the patient truly, you need help getting them from a particular position, taking them out of the woods, taking them down, a couple of flights of stairs if the elevator's out or whatever, by all means, call for that additional assistance. We don't want anybody to get hurt. But for the day-to-day bread and butter BS calls that we run, or ALS calls, BLS calls that we run, you should be able to handle that with 2 people. And if your partner's that weak, figure it out. Anyway, to recap, don't tolerate bullying in the fire service. Have a one-on-one respectful conversation. If it doesn't resolve the issue, have that one-on-one conversation and let them know what you will and will not tolerate, and make sure it's documented. And as far as, calling for manpower, if you truly need the manpower, you call for it. If you're too weak to do your job, either eat your Wheaties, get in the gym, get yourself some strength conditioning, or go find another fucking job. Bottom line, do better, suck less. I'm out.